this tutorial, you're learning about how you can create a website, which is going to be a portfolio website from scratch using React and Firebase. So, in this video, I'll be explaining the complete life cycle of developing a website. Okay, so let me explain it. The first step is to decide all the requirements for the website and note it down somewhere. And basically, this is the planning stage of your website. Okay, you can draw like a wireframe or something like that. And then after you do this step, you should be actually able to visualize your website before even starting the development of your website or essentially whatever app you are building. Okay, so after that, the next step becomes to be designing the website, means creating like the front end. That's what the user actually interacts with. So after that, you have to code the features inside of the website, like what happens when we click on a button and like all of that. It's like the backend, or it actually is the backend for a website. So coding the features is the backend for a website. And now the final step is to actually deploy your website online so that the entire world or anybody you want to share it to or with can actually use it. Okay, so basically, you may think that this is a very hard step. You have to pay and do all of that stuff that we don't want to do, right? But Firebase, because we're using it, it makes it very, very simple. So for deployment, even I was thinking like I need a cloud space and I need to pay money for deploying my website. But again, with Firebase, we don't need to do any of that, and we can deploy our websites for free. And anyone can use it with the URL. And when I say free, that it's free only for non-commercial purposes. So the storage space will be limited, but that's more than enough for us while we're actually learning. And now, let me explain a little about myself. So, what are the technologies that I've learned? I've learned stuff like C Sharp, Unity, Python, JavaScript, and React. And frankly speaking, I was really not aware what was coding 4 months ago. Okay, so I've put a lot of effort to learn these technologies, and right now it's a passion for me. And in God's grace, I was able to learn all of these technologies, or so many of these technologies, in such a short time. So right now I'm creating a lot of videos on my YouTube channel, which is of course this YouTube channel, for different technologies, so it can even help others to actually learn these technologies. So I'm trying to share my knowledge with this YouTube channel. Okay, now without any further ado, I'm actually going to be showing you what we are going to be building in this tutorial. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to show my screen right over here. So this, and yeah, you can see that right now. So basically, this is what we're going to be building. It of course has an icon and a title, and it's built using React. Okay, and it's also deployed online. So you can go over to this URL right now. So portfolio-32 ea4 dash dot web dot app. You can go over to that URL and you should be able to see exactly this. And basically that means that my site, which I'm on right now, this is what I have developed. This is actually hosted online using Firebase hosting, again, for completely free. Okay, you can go over to this URL, and I will leave a link to this URL in the description down below, so you can actually go over to that URL and you can try out this app. So first, of course, when you actually come to the website, you're in the home page, right? So it's just this normal URL. And basically this is how the home page looks. It has a little header, which is a beautiful header. and it's created using React component, a React component. And then we have, saying a little bit about myself. I have my image right here. You can pop in yours. And then it says, I am Akshat. That's whatever your name is. And then it's a little description about me. And now, if we click on the View Portfolio button, it'll actually take you to my portfolio, right? And as you can see right now, this portfolio is in orange color, whereas when we were on the home page, that was in orange color, right? We can also navigate through these by the header. Now we have, GitHub and YouTube icons. So this is essentially my GitHub and YouTube profiles. So if I click on my GitHub profile, basically just takes you to this page. So my GitHub profile, and if I click on my YouTube, the YouTube logo, then it basically takes you to my YouTube channel. So basically these are some projects that I've created, and I'll be showcasing some of them right now. So the first one being the Google clone. So basically this works just like Google. You can actually type in text, like a search. You can do a Google search, and it's going to give you the results of it. So let me actually show you that. For example, if I type in Microsoft, right, and then I hit enter, it actually pulls up all of the Microsoft related stuff. And now, for example, if I click on this, so Microsoft official homepage, it takes you to Microsoft's homepage, so Microsoft.com, right? And there are a lot of more stuff here. You can search, for example, like YouTube or something like that. And then if you click, it's just basically going to take you to that site. Okay, and then a nice little header there. You can click, and then without any refresh, they'll take you back to the home page. And that's even a feature inside of our portfolio site, which I guess I forgot to mention, that when we actually click on home, take a look at the URL. Right now it's portfolio, whatever this is, portfolio dash 32ea4.web.app, and now that's slash portfolio. But if I click this, the URL changes, and without any refresh, it takes me back to my homepage. And this is possible because of the React router. Whenever we use it, there's by default no refresh. Okay, so that's essentially the Google clone, which looks almost identical to real Google. And this is not real Google, guys. Take a look at this URL, okay? That's not real Google. Real Google is this. Okay, this is real Google, and this is the clone that I built. Okay, works essentially just like Google. Now, the next is the Netflix clone, right? So, of course, the Netflix clone, we have a lot of movies here, and all of these are actually being pulled. Actually, all of these movies are being pulled from an API called TMDB, which is the movie database, which is actually an API, a Netflix style movie database, an API that offers Netflix style movies. Okay, it's like a database of all of those movies. We have like a randomly picked movie over here on the top. And then we have like Netflix originals, trending now, top rated, and all of that stuff. So now we click on a movie, for example, Money Heist. If we click, it's going to simply play the trailer. Okay, so that's essentially what that is. So if it actually has a trailer, it's gonna play that down over here. Same goes for any other movie, and there's a little nice header, and yeah, that's the Netflix clone there. And now the next project is going to be the Amazon clone. So Amazon here. And if we click, it's going to actually open the link in a new tab, okay? So here, this is how it look for you, okay? You can add items to your basket. And before that, let me show you signing in. So you can actually sign in to this Amazon clone. So it says hello and then sign in. So if I click sign in, this is going to take you to this kind of a page. And now you can just basically enter your email ID and password. So let me do that. And you can create your Amazon account, or you can just simply sign in. So I'm going to basically hit sign in because I already have created an account on this app, and basically it takes you to the home page. Now you can actually add items to your basket. So if you click on add to basket, let's say I want like these Harry Potter books. Okay, some of these. And now we go to the this little icon here, the card icon, which is 5. That's the number of items that are added to the basket. And then it will take you to this kind of a nice little checkout page. So your shopping basket essentially. You can remove items from your basket, and that's essentially the Amazon clone. It also actually dynamically gets the price. So if I add 2 of these, it adds them all up, and it actually gives you the price. So that's rupees 572.96, which is of course the correct answer here. So that adds it, and then we have how many items are added and all of that stuff. Now the next is going to be the CodePen clone. So let me open up this CodePen clone. And guys, this essentially just works like real CodePen, like literally like real CodePen. You can write in some HTML. So let me do like a div or essentially whatever you want, real HTML div, and then inside of this div, let's like create a h1 and let's just say hello world. So and let's close off that h1. There's also syntax highlighting here, so if there's an error and all of that, it shows you that. Oops. And now you can put in some css. So for example, if I like target everything and give it like a font size or like a margin 0, right, then that goes to the top, and then all of that stuff. So basically that's the css. For the JavaScript, let's write something like a selector. So const title, for example, is equal to document dot get element by by ID. Let's do title. I've not given that ID yet, so let's give it over here. ID is equal to title, and here for the title, let's do title dot inner text is equal to something like okay, I've actually spelled this wrong, so let's do that, and here let's just do hello, and all of this basically just works. So that's the CodePen clone there. Okay, so again, even this is built using React, and let's go over to the next project, which is going to be our little WhatsApp clone. So basically this has Google sign in. So it says sign into WhatsApp, and we can hit just sign in with Google, and it's going to pop up this little window, and basically this uses Firebase authentication, and everything is just so simplified inside of Firebase itself actually. And now we have this stuff, right? Now we can add a new chat. Let's do test. If I open up test, I'll just say hello, and that message will go over to essentially everybody. Okay, all of the other users using this app. Okay, so let's close that, and that's essentially the WhatsApp clone. You can again go to this portfolio, and you can just go to all of these projects and you can review them, or like whatever you want to say. Okay, now basically let's talk about the technologies that we're going to be using to create our portfolio website. Okay, so again, I'm going to show my screen, and basically I just have a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to start presenting. Start presenting. And basically, of course, it's building a portfolio site from scratch using React and Firebase. Okay, so the technologies we will use are going to be first react.js, of course. I'll be explaining why we're using all of these in the next few slides. React, so that's number 1 on the list. And then there's JSX, HTML, CSS, JavaScripts, sorry, actually HTML, CSS, Firebase, not JavaScripts, and then also the React router. I spelled that wrong, so it says React routes and also React router. Okay, so now let me explain why we are using each of these. So React.js, we're using it of course for building the front end of our, you know, website, not application. And let me actually explain what React is. So React.js is an open source JavaScript library that is used for building user interfaces or UI or front end or whatever you want to call it. The next thing, of course, is JSX. So what does JSX allow you to do? It allows us to write HTML elements inside of JavaScript and place them in the DOM. Okay, so it's essentially like HTML inside of JavaScript or HTML inside of React. That's exactly the next point. So it allows us to write HTML in React. Okay, and JSX also makes it easier to write HTML in write and add HTML inside of React. So all of these actually just map to one point. Okay, next of course is HTML, right? So HTML is a standard markup language for basically documents or like websites that are designed to be displayed on a web browser. So that's web applications or websites. CSS is the language describing the presentation or how basically the app looks or the website looks. So that's essentially what CSS is. We will style our portfolio and we will make it look really appealing and beautiful. Okay, and then there's Firebase. We're just using it simply for the database, the Cloud Firestore database, not the real-time database, which is a very powerful database provided by Firebase, and also hosting our website. So basically, I said it right. How you can deploy your website. That's essentially what hosting is, and this is going to be for free by using Firebase hosting. The next is React Router. So this can be a little confusing for those of you who are new to React. So basically, React Router allows us to build single page applications. That means just a single page in the whole web application. Okay, and with the navigation, also it comes with navigation without even refreshing the page. So basically, that's how over here, when I switched over to home, the URL changed, but it didn't even refresh. Okay, so that's what that is. And it doesn't refresh as the user navigates through the site, right? And also there's actually an about page, which I forgot to show. And the header's icon changes also. So home. So basically, when we go to home, we get that little home icon. Portfolio, we get that little portfolio icon. And about, we get that little about icon. So basically, it just says I'm Akshat go and whatever you want essentially for your description, just like how you gave it inside of home. Okay, so now let me just talk about a bit more stuff. So after this video, I will actually make sure, or when you're watching this video, I'll make sure that you can create a website, your own website, not by this tutorial. After this, you'll be knowing about how you can create your own website, right? And please comment your feedback, or you can comment if you have some confusions or doubts, or you're stuck somewhere. Then you can ask me in the comment section down below, and I will be super happy to actually help you out. So at this point, what we're going to be doing is actually just setting up our project, or like our React app. So let's do exactly that. So I'm going to show my screen right here. And now just open up your terminal. So basically I'm using the Git Bash for Windows, but you can use any other terminal that you want. Now let's go over to where we want to actually create our project. So I'm going to go to my D drive, to my folder, and to my coding projects folder, demos, and React. Okay, now here's we're gonna make their React portfolio demo, and let's hit enter. I'm going to clear that out, and now let's actually cd into this portfolio demo. So the first step that we want to do is to basically create a React app, and we do this by using npx create-react-app, and then we call it whatever we want. So I'm going to call this React, or actually just portfolio demo will be better. Portfolio demo. And now if I hit enter, this is just basically going to set up everything that we need to create a new React app. And if that throws any kind of error there, then you basically just have to install Node. So just go over to your browser, then open up a new tab. So if it gives you something like npx command not found or something like that, then you basically just have to install npx and all of that. So just go over to nodejs.org where you can actually download and install Node, which will automatically come with npx and also npm, which we will be using mostly later in this tutorial for actually going ahead and downloading some packages, downloading and installing some packages. Now from here, just download the long-term support version, or if you want, just download the current version. So I've already downloaded the LTS, or the long-term support version, and that's what I'm using currently. And basically, this is going to take a while to set up because there are lots and lots of files that it's actually creating. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to pause the recording, and once this is done creating our React app, I'll be back. Okay, so basically just completed creating our React app, and it just says happy hacking. So if you get this message, basically your React app has been successfully created. Now again, like I said, I'm using the VS Code editor, so all I need to run in my terminal or in my command prompt window is just do code. That's just opened up, and now we can of course close off our git bash. So now I'm going to hit Control J or Command J if you're on a Mac, and then cd into whatever you have called this directory. So in my case, it's portfolio demo. I just hit tab to autocomplete that, and then run npm start, which will just spin up your app. And even this is going to take a while. So actually, there's a problem here. So I always actually have to do this, that I have to actually create a .env file, but it's something related to ESLint. I don't know. When I installed ESLint, this problem started coming. But yeah, for you, mostly this problem won't be there. For me, it is there. So I'll create a .env, and I'm gonna paste this. Set prelight check is equal to true. Now if I hit save and then I run npm start again, hopefully it will work. Actually no. Oh, that was just because I didn't save it. So I just saved it right there, Control S. And now hopefully it'll work. So npm start, and it should work. And this is gonna take a while. So I'm gonna pause the recording, and once it's done actually starting up our app, I'll be back. Okay, so just completed actually starting up our app, and it actually just opened up a browser window for me on localhost 3000, and this colon 3000, that's essentially whatever port you're running on. That can be different, but for now that doesn't really matter. And now we can see this little React logo, which is exactly what we want. Okay, so the next thing we will do is actually just clean this app up a little bit. So let me actually zoom in so that you can see the text. Okay, and now all I will do is go over to source, and we will delete all of the test files that we don't need. All of these are not test files. app.test.js, logo.svg, and setup.test.js are the test files that we actually want to delete. So select all of them using control and just hit delete, and now they're just deleted. Now inside of app.js, I'm just going to get rid of everything, including the header tag inside of the div. And for this tutorial, we are actually following something called BEM. Okay, so it's just a CSS class naming convention. And so for following BEM, we'll have to change this div's class from an uppercase A to a lowercase a. And now we can just have like a H1 that says hello React just for now. And if I expand this to emit, if I expand this emit abbreviation, it just gives me that. So the Control Shift P, which brings up the command palette, and then it's emit expand abbreviation. And now let's get rid of this logo import and let's hit save, and hopefully it should be giving us hello React. Now the next step we want to do is go over to app.css. This is also a part of the cleanup process. Select everything and then delete it. And now if I save and then I come back, that doesn't really do anything for now. But there's this little spacing over here. So it's this little bit of spacing right over there. And we don't really want this spacing. So yeah, let's just get rid of it. So for this, we'll have to go to index.css, and here just do star, which basically selects everything, and then give it a margin of 0. And basically that's just going to get rid of that little spacing that we had. Now let's actually set up hot reloading. That means right now, whenever we make a change to like app, for example, if I say like hello React, some exclamation points. Now if I hit save, it actually kind of takes a while and the page actually refreshes. So it actually refreshes, right? But we don't want any of that. We want it to straight off actually display what we did. So we can actually set this up in a really easy way. So we'll go over to index.js, and now what we will do over here is basically just get rid of all of these comments. I'm going to get rid of that, but I will leave my service worker.unregister. Now we're just going to cut this document.getElementById, and right over here we will declare a const variable called root, and we will set that to be document.getElementById. Next, what we want to basically do is just create a render method. So I'm going to use ES6 syntax. So const render is equal to just an arrow function essentially. If you're using ES5, basically it's just equivalent to say function render, bracket, and this. But it's just different syntax, and I actually kind of prefer this one. Now we will actually take this react dom.render out of here, and inside of this render method we're going to paste that, but we will remove react.strict mode, and we will bring this to one line, and we will also pass in the place it should render, which in our case is going to be the root of our application. Next we will actually check if now we will do if module.hot, right? That means for hot reloading. Then we will actually accept the hot reloading. So we will do module.hot.accept like so. And here we will actually pass in /app. Just do app, you don't need that JS there. And now what we will simply do is just create an arrow function. So comma, it's an anonymous arrow function. And again, if you're doing ES5, you'll just say function without a name and then curly brackets. But again, I prefer the ES6 syntax, so I'm going to make it like this. And in here, we just want to set timeouts, and we will call the render. Oops, we'll call the render method. And now if I do a semicolon, then hopefully this will work, right? If I do some exclamation marks, exclamation points, and if I hit save, then, okay, boom, it's a lot quicker if you guys actually notice that, which is a lot better when we're in the development stage. Okay, so you'll have to like wait for it to actually refresh and all of the stuff that we actually don't want to actually kind of wait for. Okay, so this will reduce the development time of your app and you can be a lot quicker with this trick. Okay, so yeah, with that being said, we have actually completed setting up our project and now let's move on. Okay, so the next step for us will actually be to change the icon and the title of our actual React app. And let's jump right in. So let me actually show my screen. This is where we actually left off in the last video. We just have this little hello React message. But right now, we're actually going to be changing this little place where it says React app, which is the title, and this little React logo. So that's the actual icon. Let me just zoom in a little bit. So the title and the icon. That's what we're going to be changing today. That's set to the default. So yeah, let's change it. So first, I'm going to go over to index.html to actually change both of these. And now, for changing the title, we actually need to change the title tag, of course. So for the title tag, I'm going to give it Akshat's portfolio. Akshat's portfolio, like so. And now if I hit save, then it actually says Akshat's portfolio for the title. You can just fill in your name in there. Next up, what we want to do is to actually change the icon. So the icon is basically coming from this little fave icon, which is, basically the React logo. So we basically want to change this. Okay, we don't want this React logo. Instead, we want a custom icon. So originally where I got the icon for my app was from icons8.com. So I just went into their site basically, and then I just searched for portfolio icons. Portfolio. I just searched for that. And then just search through this list and then get whatever you want. Actually, I picked this one for the actual portfolio, the completed app actually. Now let's download it and let's select 96 pixels and then I'm going to download it for free. Okay, now let's go over and click show in folder, and this is what it basically is. Now we will cut this from here, and now we will basically delete this fave icon. So I'm going to basically delete it, and now it's gone. Now I want to right click on public, and I want to reveal this in my Explorer so that I can actually paste in the icon that we copied. Now let's paste it, and I'm going to rename this to icon.png. But we have actually deleted faveicon.ico, so we want to get rid of any references inside of index.html to faveicon.ico. And we want to actually change this to be icon.png because that's our new icon. And now if I hit save and then I go back over here, now as you can see, it actually changed the icon. So now it's that little portfolio icon. Okay, so with that being said, we have also completed this step of changing the icon and the title for our app, for our website essentially. So right now what we want to basically do is create our actual app. So we are going to basically start by creating our header component inside of our app. So let's just jump right in. So I'm going to show my screen and basically I just have that project open right here, which we created, and we just have this little hello React message. Now if you ever closed out VS Code and your app is not running anymore, you can simply follow the same steps. So you can cd and then you can do npm start, which will of course start up your app. And again, this is going to take a while, so I'm going to pause recording, and once it is done, I'll be back. Okay, so that's just basically spin up my app on localhost 3000 again, and everything basically remains the same. Like, I'm gonna close that tab. You can also do Control J. That's how I'm bringing that up. And now what we only have is this little hello React message, which is what we don't actually want. We want our header. So right now we're going to be using React components. So components, you can reuse them as many times as you want, and you need to only define them once. And for this tutorial, I'm going to be using functional components instead of class-based components. So here I'm just going to say header, and this is basically how you render out a component. So make sure that the starting letter of the word header is actually capital, so it actually senses that or knows that it's a component. But if you make it lowercase, the color changes and that's not a component. So I'm going to do that, and now we actually need to create our header. So for that, we'll actually create a new file. So Control N, then Control S, and we will do header.jsx. And JSX is again simply the extension that you'll do for like a React component. And here, I just want to do RAFCE. And if you're wondering how I did that, then that's because of an extension called ES7 React Redux GraphQL React Native Snippets. So you can go over to the extensions marketplace, then you can download this. Okay, so this is a very helpful extension, and you have so many snippets which are really helpful. Now, after you do that, maybe it'll say reload required, then you can reload VS Code, or if not, you can just come back and just run RAFCE. And then when it gives you the suggestion, just hit tab or enter. I'm just going to hit enter. And now I want you to hit tab and go inside of this div. So the first thing that we will start by doing is actually giving this whole div a class, so class name inside of React. And we simply don't use class like in normal HTML because class is a reserved keyword inside of JavaScript. And now I'm going to set the class name to be header. And the next thing that you'll have to do is actually import the following CSS file or the appropriate CSS file. So you'll do import.header.css, which basically imports the CSS file which we have not created. So we need to create that file, so we will call this header.css. And for now, we'll leave this empty, but of course, we will actually style our header. And now let's just put in h1 saying I am the header. And then inside of app, right now, if I hit save, so save here and there, and when this let this refresh, then basically it's just going to throw an error. But that's happening because we're actually not importing this header component. So as you can see, it throws an error that line 7, which is this line here, it's not imported, right? So it's not defined. So I'm going to hit control space, and that brings up this autocomplete or IntelliSense thing over here. And then you can see this auto import. Right click on that, and that's actually going to import the header from this little header component. And now I hit save, we hopefully should be seeing I'm the header. And this is very big because I'm actually zoomed in. Okay, so that you guys can actually see. Now let's actually start building out our header. So first we need the icon, the home icon or the portfolio icon or whatever icon essentially. We need that to be displayed, on the left side, right? So for that, I'm going to use an image tag, and here also I'm using emit. So the source, again, I'm going to go over to icons8.com. And then I'm going to grab a home icon basically. So for now, I will leave that as home, and the next video or later in this tutorial, I'll actually be updating that. For now, we can just leave that as home. And I actually picked this one, so I can click, and I don't actually want to download it. I'll just basically copy the image address from here. Copy image address, and then I'm going to paste that right over there. Now if I hit save, we see a big home icon popping in. That's not big, but it's bigger than what we want. Okay, and the alt, we can leave that empty. The next thing, basically what we need is going to be the three options on the right side. So home, portfolio, and about. So for this, what I'm going to use is actually an ordered list. So I'll do UL, and this is some more complex emit. So UL and then LI, and now we want five or actually three LIs. So we will just store 5, and then again we will expand this abbreviation. Did I do 5? Yeah, I just need 3. And now that gives us 3. And the first one, it's going to be home. That's the home option. The next one is going to be portfolio. And the next, the last one will be about. Now if I hit save, we should be able to see that it actually pops in. But right now, this is looking really, really ugly. So I'm just going to zoom out right here, and let's actually start styling this header up. So now I'm just going to target the whole header. So I'm going to type in header, which will actually target this container. Okay, this header. And here for this, what I'm going to apply is actually going to be a background color of hashtag C4C4C4, which is essentially like a gray color. Okay, and now we're going to do display flex. So we're using some flex box. And basically this over here on the top is just going to change the background color. So let me actually hit save and show you what that does. The first one changed the background color. What the second one did was right now these are in display block, I guess. So they're stacked on top of each other, which we don't really want. We want it to be like in a row. Okay, that's how the final apps header was. And when we do display flex, by default, it goes into a row. We can change that to a column if we want, but for now, I'm going to leave that as a row. Now we're going to give this some padding. I'm just going to do 20 pixels, and we should see that it actually pushes the stuff that's inside, or the contents that are inside of the header is just pushing them in. So that's what padding does. And if you don't know the difference between padding and margin, padding gives you spacing on the inside of the header, and margin, so let me show margin right here. Margin gives spacing on the outside of the header. Right now, as you can see, when I did margin, it was giving spacing outside of the header. So that's essentially the difference. The next style we're going to be applying is going to be font size of 20 pixels. And now if I hit save, then that just makes everything a lot bigger, which is what we want. And now after that, we will give this a justify content of space between. Space between, that'll just give space in between this, which is over here, right? And then the UL, that's an image tag. And then we have a UL, which is all of this stuff. So we'll push them to the other side. So it's just giving them space in between, basically. Next up, we're going to actually apply position sticky. So basically what this does, there are actually more styles that we have to type in. Position sticky top 0 and Z index of 100. Okay, so let me explain what these three lines do. So basically what we want is our header to stick on the top even when we actually scroll down on the portfolio or on the body or whatever. Essentially on the portfolio is where we actually have more content. So there's only the place where we can scroll. And when we scroll, we want to make the header stick over there on the top. Okay, so basically that's what we're doing. And what this top 0 does is it just puts it to the top, of course. And z-index 100, what that does is it makes sure that the header is actually kind of like a more important type component other than all of the rest of them. So basically what that'll do is actually if there's anything, over here, for example, then the header will be what you'll see. It'll be on the front and the other content will be on the back. So if I actually show this to you on the completed app, so right over here, then if I click view portfolio, for example, then this header is right over there. Right now, when we scroll down, you can see that it doesn't go anywhere. It sticks there. So that's the functionality we're trying to get to. And also, as you can see, when I'm over on top of the other projects, the portfolio projects. Then also it's on the front, and the portfolio projects, they're actually on the back. Okay, so this is overlaying or overlapping, whatever you want to call it, the projects, the portfolio projects. So that's essentially what these three lines do. So now if I save, we won't be able to actually notice any difference, but when we bring in the projects, there'll be a very big difference. So that's what we're trying to basically get to. Okay, now we actually need to style up our header even more. So for this, I'm going to go back to my header. And over here for this image, we're going to be applying a class name of basically header underscore underscore image. So basically this is again BEM. So in BEM what you do is you put in the component that you're currently working on. So you're currently on, that's the header in our case, and then underscore underscore, and then whatever element inside of that you're on. So in our case it's the image, right? So yeah, that's what BEM is basically. Now we will target that header image. So header image in here, and we will give it an object fit contain. So what this does is it makes sure that the aspect ratio of the image is not gone. It'll maintain the aspect ratio, means we were to stretch the image, then it'll look really weird, and this actually protects us from that. The aspect ratio will always keep it the same. The next thing that we want to basically apply is going to be a width of 35 and even a height of 35. Actually, I need to save this. And now, boom, it automatically gets a lot smaller, like so. Okay, we want it to be that small, and you can essentially play around with this value and set it to whatever you want, okay? Now I'm going to do 35 pixels by 35 pixels. Now let's move on. Now what we want to style is actually going to be this unordered list, because right now that looks really bad. So we're going to go over to the header and target the UL. So this is a different kind of a selector. We're targeting the direct child of the header, which is a UL, which will basically point to this UL right over here. Okay, and basically the styles we want to apply to this is first of all going to be that we actually need to remove these bullet points. So for that, we'll use list decoration, or it's actually list style, not list decoration. And we will set that to be none. Now we will see that it's actually been removed. Now we want to get all of this to be actually in a row. So for that, again, we'll just use display flex. And this even makes it responsive when we use flexbox. And that's how it looks, which is kind of good for now. And now what we will do is we will align the items centrally. Okay, align item center, and you can see what that does. That basically centers it on the vertical axis. Okay, let's move on again. Now we will target the list items inside of our UL. So we will again use direct targeting, so header, and then we will target the UL and then the LI. So basically that's how you do it. And we will apply a padding of, actually padding right, because we only want to pad it to the right, of 20 pixels. Okay, and then we will give this a cursor of pointer. Now if I hit save, actually let's give it a padding right of 25, because okay, that looks better. Okay, nice. So that's how it looks so far, and that actually looks good, right? Like, look at this. So if I go back to home, like boom, it looks almost exactly like that. Okay, that's actually nice. And now we've created the header, right? But this is of course not totally functional. We have to implement a lot more stuff like React Router. When we click over here, we actually need to change it to the portfolio, and then in about, we need to change it to the about page. Okay, that's what we're going to be doing right now, and let's get started. So first we will actually have to introduce React Router into our project. So I'm going to open up a new terminal, and basically I'm going to say npm, or actually let's cd first, portfolio demo, and here you have to run npm I And again, npm, I said that we're going to be using it. That's essentially what it is. npm I means npm install. Just it's shorter. That's why I use npm I over npm install. npm I react dash router dash dom. So that's just going to install the DOM, or essentially the React router. And this is going to take a while to install, so I'm going to pause the recording, and once it's done installing, I'll be back. Okay, basically that just installed. And now what we can do is we can go over to app.js. I'm in that file, and I'm going to just put in an import over here. There's basically import, and this is an explicit import, so we put in those brackets, curly brackets, sorry. Browser router as router, that's what we are going to be routing with. And we'll also import a switch, and we'll also import a route, the routes, okay? And now all we will do is basically over here for app, I will surround this with a router, okay? And then I'm going to put the ending tag right over there. Now, inside of this app, we will just create a switch, which is a component, switch, and then we will wrap the header around it. Okay, but this is not what we want our header to actually be. So all I'm going to do is basically just create a route like this, and basically I'm just going to wrap the header inside of this route. And now this route, we actually need to we need to pass this in a prop or a property, which we'll be using later in this video. So for now, just type it in. Okay, so all I'm going to do is just type in path is equal to slash portfolio. So basically what this does is whenever we're inside of over here, right? Here, when we do slash portfolio, that's when basically this is going to get called, this route over here, and it's going to render out the stuff that's inside of that route basically. And for now, I'm just going to be creating a portfolio component, which is a dummy component. We will actually put the portfolio inside of that, but for now, I'm just going to create a dummy. And let's create that portfolio component. So portfolio.jsx, RAFCE, tab. Let's give it a class name of portfolio. And then let's create just a h1 for now and say I am a portfolio, like so. Now we will actually create an other route for the home and the about page. So the second one is going to be for the about page, and this is instead of portfolio going to render out an about component. And then we will create a last route, which is just going to be slash, means there's nothing next over there. Okay, there's just a slash, or it's completely empty. So that's what that means. This is basically the default route. Whenever someone enters our website, they're going to see this. So whenever someone enters our website or our portfolio website, we want them to actually see the home component, right? So for that, what I decided to call it was the body. For now, again, even this is going to be a dummy component. So body.jsx, rafce tab. We will give this a class name of body, and then let's actually do h1 I am the body. And let's expand that right over there. I didn't expand this. And now let's actually also create the about, which I didn't create. So about.jsx, rafce again. And now let's do h1 I am the about or something. Okay, let's expand that and let's give this a class name of about. Okay, that's looking good. Now let's save all of this, and of course we need to import it or else it's going to be complaining. So let's import the body, let's import the about, and let's import the portfolio. So again, control space. And now if I hit save, and if this refreshes, hopefully it does. I don't know what the problem here is. Sometimes that happens. I don't know, with hot reloading, you just have to type in something inside of app. Just put something inside of app, and only then it works. I don't know why. And now it says I'm the body because we're in the base URL. Means we have not entered anything. And now we go over to the portfolio, or actually, sorry, over here for the link, we do slash portfolio. Then let's refresh. And again, like I said, for the app, sometimes that happens. Just enter in some dummy text. And now it says I'm the portfolio, right? So this is all working. About, we actually go over here and select about. And now it says I'm the about page. And this is exactly what we want. But right now, what happens is when we actually click on one of these links right over here, nothing happens, right? I'm clicking and nothing happens. So we want to solve that problem. And when we click, we want to go to the appropriate page. So for that, we'll have to make a change to our header.jsx. Here right now, we have just created an li, and we want to actually get a link tag. And we're using, what did I do? Li. And we're using a link tag because we don't want any refreshing when we route to another page. When we are using an a tag, which is also you can use it for routing, it's actually going to refresh, but we never want refreshing when we're inside of React. Now I'm going to wrap the whole home li inside of a link tag. And I'm going to set its to be just slash, okay, basically. And this is again going to take you to the base URL when you click home. And let's do the same thing for the portfolio and about. So let's create a link. Let's do that. And let's set to be, instead of the base URL, this time we're going to the portfolio. So let's set it to be to slash portfolio. And then just put this in. Okay. And now just create a link again. Do this, that, and set it to be to the about page. Make sure you do slash about. Now if I hit save, I know that all of the styling is gone. That's because we're using direct targeting and we actually need to update our CSS. So here, instead of going to UL and then directly LI, now we have a link tag. So for that, we'll actually have to use a, okay? It's like an a tag itself, but it's actually a link. And now if I hit save, that's how it looks. And now if I click on, for example, portfolio, boom, it takes me to the portfolio and it actually changes the URL. It doesn't refresh. If I click on about page, doesn't refresh. Really nice, but we have this little blue underline, which we don't actually want. So let's get rid of it with the CSS itself. So all I'm going to do is just I'm targeting header and then the UL and then the a tag, which is essentially the link. And now I'm going to do text decoration none, which will basically get rid of that underline there. And now we will again set its color to be black because we don't want it to be blue. And now that's completely normal. And now we actually route through the pages to the pages. But there's one more feature in the completed app that when we click, right, it actually, yeah, let me click, and it's in orange, which is the thing that we are currently on, okay? And if I go over to about, that is in orange. Home, that's in orange. So we want to actually get that same functionality inside of even our app, basically. So let's do it. So for this, we will actually need to take in a prop, and this is when we are actually using props. So props is like passing in arguments or parameters to functions, okay? Essentially, components are just like functions, except that they actually return HTML because, you know, there's React. So basically, we can take in props by doing typing in props right here, but we can actually destructure this and that will get all of the things that are inside of our props and we can get them individually. Okay, we use props, we'll have to do props dot whatever the prop name is. Here I'll just do props over here active. We just want to know which one is active. And now inside of our app, for the first one where we render out our portfolio, here we will set its active to be portfolio, right? And when we render out our about, the active is going to be set to about. So this is pretty simple. And here in the base URL, which is the home, we will say active is set to be like home, for example. Now let's go back to our header. And here we've got the prop, but we don't really use this prop anywhere. So there's basically no use of it. So here for the LIs, I'm just going to hold down Alt and I'm going to click on all of them so that I can type at all of them in the same time. And then I'm going to say class name and curly brackets. So this basically means that you can write JavaScript inside of here. So basically like embedded JavaScript. So it's like writing JavaScript inside of HTML. And here we're going to say active is equal to a string. So the first one, I'm going to say the active is equal to home. I'm going to explain this, okay? So don't worry about that. And we will give this a class name of header underscore underscore home dash dash active. Again, I'm going to explain this, okay? Let's copy that. Come here, paste it. Do the same here. So basically what this means is it's like an alternative to saying if active is equal to home. And this is instead of, the curly brackets, we just do and that's not the and operator that you're used to inside of JavaScript. It's actually saying that then whatever over here, right? We're setting the class name to header home dash dash active. And this is also a part of BEM, okay? Whenever you're not talking about an element, you're talking about an action, I guess, or I don't know what it's called. But yeah, when you're talking about an action, I'll call it, then you'll do dash dash and whatever the action is. So that's what we're doing here, right? And this will basically set the class name to be whatever this is, this string, okay? And here, in the second one, the portfolio, we will check if it's portfolio. And if it is, then we will set it to be header portfolio dash dash active. And then here we will check if it's about, and we will do header underscore underscore about active. Okay. Nice. Now inside of the header.css, I'm actually going to copy these class names and I'm actually going to put the header.css down here so that we can see both the files in the same time and there's not much code in there, so that doesn't really matter. Now we're basically going to target that home active, and then we're also going to be targeting the portfolio active. Portfolio here underscore underscore portfolio active. And we're also going to be selecting or targeting the about active. And for all of these, we will give this a color of, it's actually a hex code. So it's F0883D. Okay, that's like a type of orange color. Save, save, save. Hopefully it doesn't throw any kind of error, and it works, which is really nice. So as you can see, there's this little orange color on whichever it's currently on. If I'm on the home, it highlights that. Portfolio, it highlights that. About, it highlights that. And now the last thing that we want to do to basically finish off our header is actually to change this image according to whichever page we're on, okay? So over here we go to the completed app. Whenever we click, you see the icon actually changes, right? About, it changes. So even for this, let me actually drag that over there. So even for this, we're actually going to be using the active prop, okay? So first we'll check if So again, brackets, that means we're writing JavaScript. Instead of just saying if, which we cannot do in here, we'll just say home if, sorry, not home, active is equal to home, right? So that means if the value of the active prop again is equal to the string home. And if this is the case, so and again, and this time we're going to do two brackets. So basically this means we are returning. And we will return this image tag. Means we will basically render it out. And that'll be header image and the icon will be exactly the same. Next, we also want to check, let me just copy this in, or else I'll just have to type a lot. Okay, let's call this portfolio. Let's check that. And header image. And what I want to do is just get it some other icon. So that's for the portfolio icon. Inside of index.html, we actually have the URL. Or no, we don't actually have it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to go over to icons8.com and I'm going to grab portfolio. It's loading. Portfolio. And now if I hit enter, it should probably load up portfolio icons. Let's scroll down. And this one, I'm going to copy image address. And over here, backspace, or actually delete, control delete, and paste that in. And now again, we'll copy and paste that. And here we will check if the active is about. And over here, we will also search for about icons. There should be an about icon that I actually like. So you can actually scroll through this list and you can find what you basically want. And I guess I like this one, you know, more than this one. Yeah, so let's actually take this. So I'm going to copy image address. So we're just simply using another icon. Doesn't matter which one you use, but make sure that the code is the same. Now we click portfolio. It changes about. It changes. It changes. So this is really nice. And with that being said, we have actually completed our header component. And now let's actually move on to working on the other stuff inside of our app. So right now we're going to be moving on and actually creating the body component. So right now it just says I am the body, whereas in the completed app it actually has all of this. So this little image, and it says I'm letting go, action letting go, and it just has a description. And now it just says view portfolio. So this is what we're going to be building right now, and let's just jump right in. So if we take a look at the app.js, when we're inside of the base URL, the base route I'll say, then we're rendering out the header and the body. But if we go over to our body component, there's just this H1 which says I'm the body, which we don't really want. So I'm going to replace this with an image tag. And basically this image tag is just going to be this little background image right over here, okay? And I just have the URL of that image. And then if I paste that, then we get this very huge image. So I'm going to style that and make that look like a background image. So we need to import the CSS. So let's do body.css. I know we've not created that yet. So let's create that. So body.css. And here let's actually target, or actually we need to give this a class name. We're targeting it. Class name is equal to body underscore underscore backgrounds, like so. And let's copy that class name and we will target it. And basically this is how you give, you know, the image, a background image, to any component essentially. So these are the following styles that you have to apply. And also one more thing, that if you want like a video background over here, then you can also do that. Just replace this with a video tag and then just give in the video URL, or just put the video inside of the public folder and then do over here slash and whatever the video name is. Okay. So that's what you'll have to do. And here, instead of targeting body background, or actually you will target body background, make sure you give it a class name of body background. And then you'll be able to have a video background. So the first thing we want to do is actually set the object fit to be cover. And then I'll set the width to be 100% and the height also to be 100%. Okay, now let's set its position to be fixed because we want it to be fixed to the background. And also let's set its z-index to be -1. That means it'll actually be behind all of the other content on the page, right? So the background should actually be behind all of that stuff. So that's why I've done that. And let's save all of this. And now we can see our little background image, which is really, really nice. Now let's actually create the real body component, let's say. So for that, let's write some more of HTML over here inside of JSX. Or actually, let's just write. So for this, we will actually inside of the JSX file we will have to create a div. So div, and we will do dot, which is again emit, and we will call this about me. Okay, actually body __ about me, because again we're following BEM. And in here we will create an image tag, and let's expand that. And the source is going to be this little image. So let me open this, and this is essentially me, okay, in an image. Okay, after this, what we will have to do is actually style this image, right? So now if I hit save, we will see a really ugly looking image. But we want to get that to this, right? So let's go over to the body.css. And then let's actually target the image. So it's body __ about me. And we will use direct targeting to actually target the image that's inside of it. And now we will give this a border radius of 999 pixels, which is a perfect oval or a circle. And as you can see, that turns into a circle, right? So that's really nice. Now we also will apply a border, because this little white thing that you see, that's a border. We will do 8 pixels solid white. So that's going to be 8 pixels, and it's going to be a solid white background. Okay, let's move on. Now let's set the width to be 300 pixels, not PZ, PX. And now as you can see, that's kind of smaller. Okay, the last style is going to be margin right of 30 pixels. So let's see what that does. For now, that's not going to do anything, but when we actually get all of this, so the text, then that's actually going to space it out. Okay, basically. Now let's move on and create all the other stuff. So after this image, we'll just go ahead and create a div called body __ info. And in here, we can have a h1 which says I am Akshat. You can pop in your name there, and then after that we'll also get a p tag, and here the text is going to be this, right? So hello, I'm Akshat and I'm 10 years old. I'm interested in coding. Check out my awesome portfolio now by clicking on the view portfolio button now. Okay, let's actually expand emit abbreviation. That's not letting me expand it. Okay, let's actually just get rid of this p tag, and now we can expand it. I think that was a too long kind of abbreviation. We're going to manually create a p tag, p, and let's paste that in. I'm going to delete that and that. Now if I hit save, then we see it down here. Okay, we will style this, so don't worry. Okay, now let's create the view portfolio button. So we will create a div called body __ view portfolio. And then this will, actually let's just expand it. This will have a link tag, and we're going to select the auto import one. And this is going to be to the portfolio basically. So when we click on this button, right, this button, it takes us to the portfolio basically. So that's exactly what we want. And here we will just create a button which actually says view portfolio. And now if I hit save, and if I click, it works, right? So it has functionality, but that looks very bad. Now let's actually go ahead and target the body underscore underscore about me, and let's apply a display of um oops display flex. And let's also align the items centrally. Now it actually pushes it into a row. So again, like I said, flex display flex by default pushes it into a row. And if we want, by doing flex direction and then column, that will set it to a column like so. But we don't want that, we want it to be a row. Okay, nice. So now let's actually style the other components or the other elements. The first thing we're going to style is going to be body info, and then the p tag. Here we will just give it a width of 350 pixels, and as you can see, that's a lot smaller. And now the text starts coming downwards, right? So it's like wardrobe turned on. Okay, actually now I'm going to target the full body, the whole body, and let's give this a color of white. Means we want to make everything white, and as you can see, that automatically becomes white. Now let's give it a height of 100 VH. And now if I save, that won't really change anything, or actually it gets a scroll. Okay, so we're just going to do display grid like so, and we're just basically what? How is this centered? Wait, save. We're just gonna say display grid, and that won't really change anything right now. But when we do place item center, we're trying to center all of this over here. Actually, home. We're trying to center all of this, okay? So if I do place item center, then hopefully it should center all of the content. So it does, which is really, really nice. Actually, this image is kind of bigger than this one. So all I'm going to do is just reduce the width of the image to be 290. You can just put in anything that you want there. Okay, I guess that's better. Okay, now let's actually start styling this button. So let's do dot. Actually, where is the button here? Okay, it's view portfolio. So body underscore underscore view portfolio. And we will target the link, which is of course the A tag. And we will target the button. And I just want to apply a width of 450 pixels, height of 100 pixels, background color of this color right here, color white, and font size 20 pixels. And now if I hit save, then it looks like that. But as you can see, there's a little border here, so that black thing, which we don't really want. So to remove that, we'll just say border none, and that's gone. Okay, now when we hover over this button, I actually want to actually get this kind of a cursor, so that kind of a hand type pointer thing. So for that, I'll actually use cursor pointer, and now that works. But I want this to be moved down. I want to move that down. So for that, I'll target the body and then the view portfolio, and then I'll give this a margin bottom of 20%. And actually, actually it's not margin bottom. Now I'll give it spacing on the bottom. We wanted to give it spacing on the top, so we will use margin top, and that's how it looks. But I want to reduce this value a little bit, and hopefully that looks good. Okay, now for the body, as you can see, this part is actually touching on the top. So what I'll do is for about me, I'll just give it a margin top of, again, whichever you want. We're gonna do 200 pixels. Maybe that'll be too much. Yeah, it's too much. 100. Yeah, that's looking okay. So now we have actually completed our body component, except for that when we actually hover over this button, you see that nice little effect, right? So we want to get that same kind of effect. So we will actually get when it's hovered over, right? So I will target the button, And then I will not just target it, I will actually get when we hover over it. And when we do that, what we simply want to do is basically just flip the color and the background color around. Okay, essentially. So the color, we want to set it to the background color that it previously was, and the background color, we want to set that to the color. So we are actually kind of flipping it around, and now that's how it looks. But right now, this is kind of like snapping, right? It means it's quickly happening, right? That doesn't look good here. There's like an animation, and then it does it. So for that, we will have to apply a transition of all. I'm going to do 0.5 seconds. Easy. You can put in whatever time you want. And now if I hit save, boom, we've got the animation working. And the longer you make this, okay, if I do like 1 second, then it's going to, yeah, take as much time as you have given here. I'm going to change that back to 0.5, which actually looks good. And with that, we have completed our body component. Okay, that's really, really nice. And now let's move on to creating the about page. So for that, we take a look at our app in the state that it's right now. We actually click on portfolio. It just says I'm the portfolio, but we want to change this up and make it, display all of the projects. And all of this is completely dynamic and it will be pulled from the Firebase database. So first of all, let's actually design this and then we will pull it from the Firebase database. Okay, let me come back here. Let me go to the portfolio.jsx. Let me actually close out all of the other files. Portfolio.jsx. And let's get rid of that tag. I mean the h1 tag. Now, of course, the first thing we need is actually the background. So we're actually going to create an image tag with the class name of portfolio underscore background. And then this is the URL. Okay. Now if I hit save, that'll look really ugly. Okay, the ugliest background. And we need to style this with CSS. So it's actually import portfolio.css .css. Let's create that file portfolio.css and here let's target our portfolio background. Let's do dot portfolio background. And let's go over to, for example, our about page, about.css, and the same way we have done it over here. So for the background, we'll also do it over here. Save, save. Now, as you can see, that's looking a lot better. Okay, so our home page looks nice, our about page looks nice, and now the portfolio page only left, of course. Okay, so let's do this. Now, the next thing we need is going to be these two GitHub and YouTube icons. So I'm just going to create a div for these. So portfolio underscore underscore icons. This is what I'm going to be creating. And inside of here, we will basically have two A tags. And then inside of that, we will have two image tags, or actually just one image tag. And now if I expand that, so the href over here for this A tag is actually going to be my YouTube channel itself. So let me go over and grab my YouTube channel's link. Or I already have it, of course. So I'm just gonna paste that in. Actually, let the first one be the GitHub. Yeah, it can be the GitHub one. So basically, this is my GitHub profile link. And now we will grab a GitHub icon again from iconsy.com. Awesome website. iconsy.com, GitHub. Give me GitHub icons. GitHub. Okay, and then search through this list. I'll take this one. Copy image address. Close it off. And then come here. Basically give it that source. Okay, and here for the second one, which is going to be the YouTube link, I'm just going to pop in my YouTube channel's link. So this, and now the source over here. Oh, why did I close iconsade? Because I need a YouTube icon from iconsade itself. So YouTube. Okay. Now, when this loads up, let's actually scroll down because I had to find like a little play button. because that's what I actually wanted. And this one was which one I took. Copy image address, come here, paste it in, and now if I hit save, those both are there. But now the problem is if we click, then it actually opens up on the same tab, which we don't really want. We want it to open up on different tabs, right? So give me a second. If I, yeah, nice. So we want it to open on different tabs. So for that, this is just a trick. So for opening up an A tag on a new tab, you just have to say target is equal to underscore blank. Okay, and then now if I hit save, boom, when I click, it opens up on a new tab, which is really, really, really nice. Now let's actually go ahead and style these up maybe. Yeah, so let's style them. So this is the styling that we need. So dot portfolio icons will apply display flex, justify content center, and a padding of 20 pixels. So just centers them there. And now let's actually target the portfolio icons, and then the A tag, and then the image tag. And let's give this a right, margin right exactly of 50 pixels. So now we should see that these both are even more spaced out, and that's the top section basically of our portfolio page. The next are these projects. For now, I'm just going to create dummy projects, and then later we're actually going to pull it from the database itself. So for this, what I actually did was I created a new component called portfolio project, and then inside of that I put these in. Now we're just going to render out a div. So div.portfolio projects for all of the projects, and in here we will create a div for portfolio underscore project, not projects. So this is a single project, and these are all of the projects. And here inside of this div, we will just render out a project component which we have not created. And now here we'll just do project name, which is like a prop. It is a prop, and we will set that to be like test. And then the project. Actually, let me just call this something that I actually have created. Let's just do WhatsApp clone, for example. And then the project image. For now, I'm just going to give it a URL. So in just some time after that, I'll call this project URL. Project URL. Let me actually go over to my WhatsApp clone. So basically, this is the URL. Cut that, paste that there. Basically, now for the project image, I'm just going to paste in a URL. So I just have it right there. So this one, and now if I hit save, project is not defined because of course, oh, we have not created it, sorry. Project.jsx or AFCE, and now we need to accept the prop. So let's just use destructuring. Destructuring, and we will get the project name, the project image, and we will also get the project URL. Right, and now let's import this. So this, and now let's create the CSS file. Import./project.css, like so, and here for the div, we will give this a class name of project. Yeah, project. Like so. Now we actually need to render out, what we actually get from this information. So information is being passed in, but again, we need to use it. So this is fairly simple. Here, we will just create a div called project underscore top, which is essentially the top of our project component. And here we will create a span tag, and inside of the span, we will actually put in the project name, means we will display it. After this div, we will create a div for project underscore bottom. Let's expand that, or actually in here we will have an image. image, the source is actually going to be some JavaScript. Even over here, I've written JavaScript, okay? And this is going to be the project URL. Actually, project image, not project URL. And now we will wrap the whole project component with an A tag, because when we actually click on one of these projects, we should actually get redirected to the project's actual site. So again, A tag, let me just use emit again. Okay, that doesn't work. href is going to be project URL. And now we will basically wrap the whole thing, the whole project component inside of that. And also, because we want to open it in a new tab, we will do target is equal to underscore blank, which will open it up in a new tab. And now if I hit save, module not found, can't resolve project.css. Did we create project.css? No, right? Project. Yeah, we didn't create project.css. Let's create that project.css. And now, hopefully, why do I have to do this each time? Okay, boom. It actually gives us this, which I know doesn't look good right now, but we're going to get it looking good. Where is the text? What's up clone? Okay, that's over here. Okay, basically. And now, because that's in blue, even the background is in blue, we can't really see it. So it's the default styling for basically an A tag. Now we click, boom, we are bought on this page. So the last thing we need to do is actually style this up, because that's the ugliest thing you'll ever see. So we need to style that up and make it look beautiful. So first of all, for the whole A tag, we will basically set its text decoration to be none, so that it doesn't give us that little underline. And the color, we're going to reset that to be black. And now if I hit save, then boom, we don't have that little, blue underline there, and that's looking a lot better. Okay, nice. Now for the whole project component, all we want to basically do is set its width to be fit content, right? And that will essentially just give it how much width it needs, okay? So it's going to take the content and only that much, how much width it needs, it's going to give that. And for now, that doesn't make any difference. You won't see anything, but that will actually make a difference later. Now we actually need to style the project top. So for the project top, the first thing we will apply is actually font family of cursive. So over here, we take a look at the completed one. The font family is kind of like a comic type font, so that's what I chose. And the background is this little background here. The width, of course, how much it should stretch, or how much width it should have. Text align center, because as you can see, this text, if we don't do the text align center, is going to be on the left. So we want to align this text in the center. That's why we do that. Give it some padding. Border top left radius. So what does this mean? When we do border top left radius, then that basically means the border on the top, on the left side, so the top left, this is what it means. So border, there's top left, right? Take a look at this. So that's right there. And then this is border top right radius. So take a look at top right. That's there. And now if I hit save and I come back here, boom, it'll start looking like that. But the image, because of that image, we basically can't see anything else. So let's style that. So for the whole project bottom, we're basically going to apply border top left radius of 10 pixels, and then border top right radius also of 10 pixels. And then for the project bottom and then the image, we will give it a max height of max width, sorry, of 500 pixels. And now if I hit save and I head back here, boom, it starts looking like this. Actually, this is not border top left, it's bottom left radius. Okay. Or basically this is for the image, not over here. Sorry for that. And now, boom, the what do I call it? This part is actually rounded. Okay, essentially what we want, and we don't actually need this. So now we've got this looking good, but we need to give it some more styling from its parent, which is the portfolio dot, yeah, portfolio, the portfolio. So basically I'm going to target the portfolio project, and then I'm going to give it a padding of 20 pixels and also display of inline block. You'll see what that does, and I can actually comment this out for now. Save, and boom, that's giving it some space over there. And for now, display inline block, it won't do anything, basically because we want three of these in like a row, I'll say. That's why we've put that right over there. For now, we don't have three of them, but I'll show you that by putting multiple of the same ones. And now we do, or actually, let's even comment that in portfolio. I'm just gonna spam this right here. I'm gonna put many of them. So Shift Alt down, you can duplicate, and now that looks very bad. Okay, so basically, if I bring this back, it will just align it to the center. But why is it not actually giving it an inline block? So for now, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to leave three of them in here so that it's not getting confusing when we are actually trying to figure out why it's not going into a row. Okay, let's figure this out. Okay, so basically this is happening because of the fact that we are actually putting all of our projects inside of this portfolio project div where we only want a single project. So we will have to take out one project and create a div with the same class name. So portfolio underscore underscore project, expand this, and then paste that in there. And I'm just going to get rid of this. And now I'm just going to basically duplicate this div. Okay, copy and paste. And now if I hit save, boom, it all basically goes into a row. So that was the mistake that we had there. Okay, so basically we can have as many projects as we actually want, okay, basically. So if I, want so many of these projects, I can just do that and I can hit save and boom, it always looks good. So that's really nice. But for now, I'm just going to put in a single project here. Just gonna get rid of this project and this project. Actually, we won't even be having any hard-coded projects in here when we are actually pulling from the database itself, which we're going to be doing right now. So let's actually go ahead and pull all of this information, make it dynamic, and pull it from the Firebase database. So we're going to do exactly that. So I'm going to show my screen. Let's save so that it actually just remains with one project. And now for setting up Firebase, we'll just have to do a little bit stuff, okay? So just go over to console.firebase.google.com and then create an account here if you actually don't have an account already, and then sign in with that account. And then after that, click on this add project button, and then call this whatever you want. I'm going to call this React Portfolio Demo. React dash portfolio dash demo. Continue, and you can enable Google Analytics if you want, or you can disable it. I'm just going to enable it. I'm going to select an account, which is my default account for Firebase, and then I'm going to hit create project. And what this is going to do is it's just going to set up everything, okay, that we need to actually create a database, host our app online, and all of that stuff. And basically, we don't have to do anything right now. We just have to wait, and this is just going to set everything up for us. And Firebase and React is like a perfect combination. Both of these make everything so simple. So right now, as you can see, our project is ready. Let's continue. And now let's click on this little icon which says web. So now we're just creating an app inside of our project. Okay, so you can think of it like this. A project can have multiple apps. And now we will call this react-portfolio portfolio demo. And now we have to check this box because we are actually going to be using Firebase hosting for this app, like I have said in the beginning. And now let's register this app and then let's wait for this to load up. I'll hit next because we don't really want Firebase SDK. And now copy this command, okay? You don't always have to do this. I've already installed it, so I don't have to do this, but I'm just showing you how to do it. Now open up a new terminal and then just right click to paste and then hit enter. Or actually, yeah, actually you need to cd, sorry, and then you do that. And if you're on a Mac, then you may have to include sudo in there because you're installing it globally. Hit next, and for now we won't worry about all of this and we will continue to our console. Now I'm going to click this little settings cog icon and then I'm going to go over to my project settings. So now here what we are doing is we're just kind of linking or connecting our Firebase with our React app. So we're connecting them both together. Now over here scroll down, click config and then click this little button which will actually copy all of this. Okay, now here directly inside of source, we're going to create a new file called firebase.js, and then I'm going to hit Control B to hide that. I'm going to paste. Okay, so right now, this should have been installed. Yep. And now we actually have to install Firebase. So for that, just do npm install or npm I firebase. And we can remove this. We can say import Firebase from Firebase. So we're just importing Firebase. And then we can do Firebase app. So const Firebase app is equal to Firebase dot initialize app. So we're just initializing our app. And we're going to initialize our app with our Firebase config. Now we actually need to get the DB basically out of, all of this config stuff means get our DB essentially out of our project. So for that, we're going to write const DB is equal to Firebase Firestore. So we're essentially getting the Cloud Firestore database. And now we will actually export this database DB because we will actually need to use it in other files. So we will use a default export defaults DB. So now this is not an explicit export, so we're going to be using it a lot. That's why I've exported it as a default export. So you'll do it like this. So you'll do import db from /Firebase, not the global Firebase module from our local Firebase. So this is how we'll do it instead of putting these little curly brackets there. So we have exported it as a default export. Now let's actually start using it, and it's fairly simple. Okay. Now we actually need to create a Cloud Firestore database. So let's click on Cloud Firestore over there on the left and let's create database. And now we will actually start in test mode so that it actually lets us read and write to the database. Hit next and enable. Okay, now this is just going to take a while, so I'm going to pause the recording, and once it's done I'll be back. Okay, this is just done creating. That's really nice. So basically, first when we create our app, it's actually the best to edit the rules because by default Firebase will actually set the right to be request.time. Means sometime it'll be displayed over here. So 2020 11/12. So we don't actually want this. We want it to write forever. And if we don't do this, then after that amount of time, it's just going to stop working basically. Okay. Now go over to data, and now we're going to start a collection. So a collection is like an array of documents. So document is like an object of some data inside of it. So for the collection, we're going to just call it projects, And here the document, right? So this is the document ID. We can just give an auto ID, doesn't really matter. And over here for the field, this is the field name. Here I'm going to do project name, and again we're going to do like, what do I do? This time I'm just going to say iMessage clone, or let's do something different like Facebook clone, add this one, project URL. Let's actually grab my Facebook clones link, its URL, paste that there, and then project image, and then again I have a URL, so paste that in there, and then I'm gonna hit save, and basically that'll just create this. So like I said, a collection is just, an array of documents. So you can have multiple documents in there by clicking add document. But for now, this is just like a hard-coded value that we're going to put in here. And whenever you want, you can actually add a document here when you create like another project. But we have not got to that kind of functionality yet. So that's exactly what we're implementing right now. Now, after that, this document inside of that, it's like an object of all of this data. Okay, that's what it is. And the data, we could actually select its type if you saw that there. So it's a string right now. All of these are strings. So it's like variables, okay, like an object itself. Inside of that, you have some values or, some data. Now, let's actually pull from the database. So this is fairly simple. Like, honestly, this is kind of simple. So first, what we will have is actually going to be a piece of state inside of our portfolio. So I'll do use state, and here for the state, this is going to be projects. So it'll store all of the projects. And the initial state, it's basically going to start off as an empty array. So basically, it's like declaring a variable, but this is how you do it inside of React. And now we actually have to import useState from React. Okay, and now we will use a use effect. So useState is like a variable, and we're like assigning that variable to be an empty array, not empty string. And use effect, I'll explain what it does. So basically, for now, just type in what I'm doing. So this is syntax for a use effect. So it's like an arrow function there, and then curly brackets, comma, and then square brackets. So this is the syntax of a use effect. And basically what a use effect does, or what it is it runs based on the given condition. So right now, here you'll put in the dependencies. For now, we have no dependencies there. So if you want any dependencies, for example, you say some name, okay? For example, if there's some name, then basically this will run when the component loads, which is the app component, when it loads, or actually the portfolio component, sorry. When it loads, it's going to run once, and also whenever name changes, okay? So we don't have a variable called name here, but if it was, then whenever name changes, it's going to run again and again. But we're going to leave that empty, and this means that it's only going to run once when the portfolio component loads. So that's essentially what it's been attached to. And now, inside of here, we will do some powerful stuff, okay? This is very powerful. So it's going to be db, a use effect itself is so powerful, db dot collection. We will access the collection, and this is firebase stuff, guys. And make sure that you import not firebase. Make sure you import the database from /firebase, and make sure you include the /, or else you're going to at last end up importing from the global module firebase. We want to actually import it from our local file. db.collection, and here we're going to pass in projects. That's what the collection name is right over here. Dot on snapshot, and then we will get the snapshot, and I will explain what this does. Okay, snapshot. And let me explain what this does. So this is a very powerful function provided by Firebase. So basically what it does is it runs once or when the data inside of this collection changes, means essentially when you actually add a new project, right? It runs at that time. So it actually take it this way, okay? So it kind of pictures the database, how its structure is before it changes, and then after it changes, it's going to see if it changes, right? So it's going to keep looking for that, not after it changes. And when it finds a difference in the data, then it'll say it has changed and it'll run the code inside again. And this cycle keeps on going. So after that, after running the code, it's going to take a picture again, and then when it changes, it's going to run again and again. So this is really, really powerful stuff happening here. Now this is an arrow function. You can put in brackets if you want, but that's just one parameter there. So that's why I didn't put brackets. I'm just going to insert that if you want. Now we need to actually set projects, right, to be snapshots. Snapshot.docs means it's all of the documents that are inside of here. Dot map, okay, and basically this is kind of like a for loop, but it actually returns what it gets from it, and this is what you'll be using, not a for loop in this example. Okay, and then we will get each doc. For each doc, we will create an arrow function, right, and then we will return an object. So just put two curly brackets. Oh, oops. Sorry for that. Okay. So basically, here instead of the curly brackets, which is used for executing code, you'll actually just have to put normal brackets. Okay, which is essentially for returning. And I did something wrong. Okay, what did I do? So that one is there. So I'm gonna remove this, replace this with that. Okay, nice, no more errors. So this one actually returns. So it says return whatever is inside of here. So it's going to basically right now return an object. So we're putting curly brackets, so it's going to return an object. Inside of this object, we'll have three key value pairs. So first one being project name, second one being project URL, and third one being project image. And now for project name, we want to set that to be snapshot.docs, or actually not docs, we get the doc. So we'll do doc, which is referring to a single document. Dot data means we're accessing the data. Dot project name. So that's essentially what you have called it right over here. If you want, you can copy in that name, just to be super careful. And for the second one, we'll do doc.data.project URL. And for the last one, we will do doc.data.project image, like so. Okay, a lot of powerful stuff here, guys, and prettifies that for me. That's actually looking a lot better. Now here, instead of hard coding this value of portfolio project, we're going to map through this array basically. So that's an array and it has all of the documents here. Okay, it means it has each of the projects. And I hope you're able to follow along here because some kind of complicated stuff. And now here what we will do is just write some JavaScript and then we will map through that array. So it's projects.map and then we will get each project, and then for each project we will actually return a div, right, portfolio project, and we are going to paste that there. Okay, but here what we are doing is actually hard coding the value to WhatsApp clone, whatever clone, right? And then even the project image and the project URL. But basically we are gonna change that and we're gonna set that to be project, right? Dot project name. And here we'll do project dot project image. And here we will do project dot project URL. And yeah, let's see if this works. Like, if this works, yeah, that's some huge stuff. And this works. Okay, this is so good. Okay, now let's actually test if it's working really, right? Because many of you won't be believing this. It's actually pulling from the database. And we're almost done. Let's see if this totally works. So we'll add here for the project name. I'm gonna do WhatsApp clone. WhatsApp clone. Okay. And then here for the project URL, we will actually get the WhatsApp clone URL again. So I'm going to copy the URL and I'm going to paste that. For the project image, I have a URL, to paste that there. And now click save. And if this works, we should be able to see another project coming in without even refreshing. Save. And it works. It didn't even refresh and it popped in. So at this point, basically every single piece of functionality works. And also what I wanted to say was just add all of your projects inside of here, okay? So create new documents, give them an auto ID, give them a project name, project URL, project image, and then you'll see that they automatically pop into your portfolio if you have done everything right. And I'll be very happy if you actually show me how, all of your projects essentially, link your portfolio down. But how will you do that? Only if you deploy your app you can do that, right? So basically for deployment, all we have to do is just hit Control J, and I'm going to basically open up a new terminal. And now just make sure that you cd into the correct directory. Then first what you want to run is going to be firebase login. And basically this will log you into Firebase. And then do Firebase init, which will initialize Firebase. Now let's wait. Hit yes. Now go down to where it says hosting. So I'm using my arrow keys and then I click spacebar on hosting and then I click enter. Here, make sure that you hit backspace and then you type in build, very important step. And now hit enter. And now we want to configure this as a single page app. Hit yes, and if it asks you this, click no. And here you can actually click no. Hit no, sorry. And now just do npm run build. What this basically does is it creates an optimized production build. Now, what does this mean? For deployment, right now, our app is not fit for deployment, or our website is not fit for deployment, okay? So what this will do is it's just going to go ahead and make it ready for deployment. It's going to create a build folder, and then inside of that build folder it'll actually compress it down and put only the things that we need, which will go actually for deployment. Okay, when we do Firebase deploy, it'll take that build folder and then it'll give it for deployment, and that's essentially what npm run build does. As you can see, it says it's creating an optimized production build, which is exactly what we want, and that's done. Now let's run Firebase deploy. Then if I hit enter, basically this is going to deploy your app, and after that it's going to be online and you can share it with essentially anybody that you want. Okay, let the version get finalized. And now just hold down control and click on the hosting URL, hit open, and boom, we can see that our app has been deployed. And if you get some kind of like a blank screen or something, then you can just go over to firebase.json, which gets created, and you can just try getting rid of this rewrite over here, or you can try actually setting this public colon, mostly, or maybe it'll be public. If you've done something wrong, just change that to be build, and then it should be working. So with that being said, we have actually deployed our app. If I hit view portfolio, basically everything works. And about page, does it work? confirming everything, and everything works, okay? And now what I want you to do is take this URL, okay? Copy it, go to the comment section of this video, and then paste it. I would love to see how your portfolio turned out to be, and I would love to also see the projects that you have created. And also make sure that you add all of your projects in here, so all of your like web applications and all of that stuff. Okay, and you can also basically use the same trick to actually deploy your, other websites that you're creating. This was just for this website. You can use it for essentially any website that you want that you actually create. And now, at this point, after this tutorial, I hope that you can now create a website by yourself, so you can try it out and turn an idea in your mind to an actual website or an app or whatever. And again, I request you to share your website link in the comments down below, so that you're sharing it with everybody else. And please let me know if you faced or if you have any issues during the development of your website, and I will be really happy to answer your questions, okay? And I will also be happy for knowing your feedback on this video. And now, with that being said, we have actually completed our portfolio site. So from start to end, from development to deployment, we have done everything. Our site is totally functioning, and yeah. So that is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.